Before we begin, I want you to ask yourself one simple question. Can one small act of kindness really change two lives forever? What if a single moment, one decision made in a matter of seconds, could lead to the greatest love story ever told? Stay with me until the very end, because the ending of this story has touched millions of hearts, and I promise it will remind you that true love is never about money, beauty, or status. It is always about kindness. If stories that restore your faith in humanity inspire you, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell. Every like helps us bring more heartfelt stories to people around the world. Now, let's begin. On a cold autumn evening in the quiet town of Maplewood, the streets were glowing beneath orange streetlights while leaves danced across the sidewalks. People hurried home from work, barely noticing the world around them. Cars rushed by. Coffee shops closed their doors. Everyone had somewhere to be. Everyone except Emma. 26-year-old Emma worked double shifts at a small family-owned diner called Grace's Kitchen. Life had never been easy for her. She lost her father when she was only 12. Her mother struggled with illness for years before passing away. Since then, Emma had lived alone in a tiny apartment with peeling paint and old furniture. She wasn't rich. She didn't own expensive clothes. She drove an old car that often refused to start. But everyone in town knew one thing about Emma. She never stopped smiling. Even when life hurt. Even when customers yelled. Even when bills piled up. She believed every person deserved kindness. Because she knew what loneliness felt like. That evening, after finishing a 14-hour shift, Emma carried a small bag containing leftover sandwiches the diner would normally throw away. Instead of taking them home, she walked toward the city park. She did this every Friday. There she found people who had nowhere else to go. Some were veterans. Some had lost jobs. Some had simply been forgotten by society. Emma quietly handed out food. She never recorded videos. Never posted pictures online. She believed kindness wasn't meant to be seen. It was meant to be felt. As she approached an old wooden bench, she noticed a man sitting alone. He looked to be around 30. His clothes were clean but worn. His shoes were soaked from walking in the rain. His face carried exhaustion unlike anything she had ever seen. He wasn't asking anyone for money. He wasn't speaking. He simply stared at the ground. Emma slowly walked toward him. "Excuse me," she said softly. "I have an extra sandwich if you're hungry." The man looked up. His eyes were filled with surprise. Almost as if nobody had spoken kindly to him in a very long time. He hesitated. "I'm okay." Emma smiled. "Please. I'll feel bad if it goes to waste." After a few seconds, he accepted. "Thank you. My name is Daniel. I'm Emma." That was all. No dramatic conversation. No romance. No music. Just one simple act of kindness. Emma wished him a good night and walked away. She never imagined she'd see him again. The following Friday, Daniel was sitting on the same bench. Emma smiled. "I brought turkey today." Daniel laughed. The sandwich review just got better. For the first time, he smiled. And something changed. Week after week, Emma continued bringing food. Sometimes they talked for 5 minutes. Sometimes 30. Daniel slowly opened up. Years earlier, he had been an architect. He had built beautiful homes across the state. Then tragedy struck. His younger sister died in a car accident. Unable to cope with grief, Daniel left work. Depression consumed him. He sold everything to pay medical debts left behind by his parents. Eventually, he lost his apartment. His friends disappeared. His relatives stopped calling. He wasn't lazy. He wasn't dangerous. He was simply broken. Emma never judged him. She listened. Sometimes that's the greatest kindness anyone can offer. Listening. Months passed. Winter arrived. Snow covered Maplewood. One freezing night, Emma reached the park. Daniel wasn't there. She waited. 15 minutes. 30. An hour. She became worried. The next morning before work she returned. Still nothing. She asked nearby homeless people if they had seen him. One elderly man pointed toward an abandoned warehouse. Emma hurried there. Inside, Daniel lay unconscious with a high fever. Without hesitation, Emma called an ambulance. She stayed beside him all night in the hospital. When Daniel finally opened his eyes, the first face he saw was Emma's. "You stayed?" Emma smiled. "Of course. You would have done the same." Daniel quietly cried. Nobody had waited beside his hospital bed before. Nobody. Daniel slowly recovered. Emma helped him apply for temporary housing. She helped rewrite his resume. She encouraged him to attend therapy. Some days he wanted to quit. Some days he believed he wasn't worth saving. Emma refused to let him believe that. She reminded him. "You are not your worst day. You are still someone's miracle." Months later, Daniel attended a job interview. Then another. Then another. Each rejection hurt. But Emma celebrated every attempt. Because progress isn't measured only by victories. It's measured by courage. Finally, a local construction company hired him as a junior designer. The salary wasn't huge. But it was enough to start over. Daniel cried the day he received his first paycheck. The first thing he bought was dinner for Emma. Not at an expensive restaurant. At the same little diner where she worked. They laughed for hours. For the first time. They weren't rescuer and rescued. They were simply two friends. As seasons changed, friendship quietly became love. Neither admitted it. Emma feared losing her closest friend. Daniel believed someone as kind as Emma deserved better. Then one rainy afternoon, Emma's old car broke down on a lonely road. Daniel arrived within minutes after her call. Instead of complaining, they sat inside the broken car eating fast food fries while waiting for the tow truck. Rain poured outside. They laughed until tears rolled down their faces. Daniel looked at Emma. "I've traveled to beautiful cities. I've seen incredible buildings. But I've never met anyone more beautiful than your heart." Emma looked away, trying to hide her smile. "You know, the first day I met you, I wasn't hungry. I was ready to give up on life. I thought nobody would notice if I disappeared. But then, you offered me half a sandwich. And somehow, you gave me my life back." Emma's eyes filled with tears. Daniel reached into his pocket. There was no expensive ring. Just a tiny silver necklace shaped like a heart. "I can't promise you a mansion. I can't promise you'll never cry. But I promise. I'll spend the rest of my life protecting the heart that saved mine." Emma whispered. Yes. Their wedding wasn't held inside a luxury hotel. It took place in the same city park where they first met. The old bench remained there. Simple white flowers decorated the trees. Many guests were people Emma had once fed every Friday. Some cried harder than the bride. Because they knew. Without Emma's kindness, Daniel might never have survived. The elderly homeless man who first pointed Emma toward the warehouse proudly walked her down the aisle. There wasn't a dry eye in the park. Life still wasn't perfect. Emma later discovered she couldn't have children. For months she blamed herself. Daniel held her every night. "You taught me that family is built with love, not biology." Together, they decided to foster children. Their first foster child was an 8-year-old girl named Lily. Quiet. Scared. She had lived in 4 different homes. She trusted no one. Emma recognized that look. Loneliness. The same loneliness she'd once seen in Daniel's eyes. Day by day, love healed another heart. Soon Lily smiled again. Then they welcomed 2 brothers into their home. Years later, they officially adopted all 3 children. Their little house became filled with laughter, homework, birthday cakes, messy kitchens, bedtime stories, family movie nights. It wasn't the family they originally imagined. It became something even more beautiful. Daniel eventually started his own architecture company. But unlike many successful business owners, he never forgot where he came from. Every year his company built small homes for struggling families completely free. Emma continued volunteering every Friday. Now Daniel stood beside her. And often, their children handed out sandwiches too. One kind act had multiplied into thousands. Entire lives changed because one tired waitress refused to ignore a stranger. One afternoon, many years later, a young reporter asked Emma, "What inspired you to help people when you had so little yourself?" Emma smiled. "My mother used to tell me, if kindness costs nothing, why are so many people afraid to give it away?" The interview went viral. Millions watched. Millions cried. But Emma didn't become famous because she wanted attention. She became unforgettable because kindness leaves fingerprints on every heart it touches. Decades passed. Their hair turned gray. Their children grew up. Grandchildren filled the house with laughter. On their 50th wedding anniversary, Daniel surprised Emma. He took her back to the same old bench. It had been restored by the city. A small bronze plaque had been placed beneath it. It read, "One act of kindness can change the world, beginning with one person." Emma looked at Daniel. "You never told me you arranged this." Daniel smiled. "I didn't." The mayor stepped forward. Neither did the townspeople. Hundreds of local residents had secretly raised money to honor the couple whose kindness had transformed their community for decades. Teachers, firefighters, doctors, former homeless people, children they had fostered, families they had helped. Everyone stood together. Many were crying. Because they all knew. This bench represented hope. Daniel gently held Emma's hand.